Hello. This is the Astrolove podcast, and yeah, here we are again. We're back. I'm Astro Queen,
and I'm Angel Love,
and yeah, this is another episode where we talk about. Well, we decided to talk about religion and spirituality.
Yeah.
But we realized also that it's such a broad topic that we are going.
So deep.
Oh, it's deep. It's deep, broad, wide, whatever. And so we're going to do a part one. This is going to be a part one. So it's a short episode where we honor Sagittarius season and we expand our understanding of life through the knowledge of religion, spirituality, and what that just means for us as a people.
Exactly.
So I want to start off first with a quote.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me go with a quote.
We always love quotes.
We love
this.
quotes.
This is us expanding our minds, by the way.
Yeah.
Because we're getting a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
You know.
We're honouring it.
We don't know everything.
No, we don't.
So, yeah.
We don't. We do a bit of research and we connect it with our own kind of information and knowledge of things, but we are students.
Yeah, we are.
We are students. Okay, so the quote is this: the spiritual journey is the unlearning of fear and prejudices and the acceptance of love back in our hearts. Love is the essential reality and our purpose on earth. To be consciously aware of it, to experience love in ourselves and others, is the meaning of life.
I like that.
I like that too.
I like that. Spreading love.
Spreading love. That's the meaning of life.
Yeah,
but
spread the love.
Yeah, but I suppose we all have our different interpretations of what life is. But we are on a continuous quest to find the meaning of life, isn't it? And we look for the meaning of life in all different type of ways. But some of the ways are through religion, seeking God through spirituality, and kind of other transpersonal experiences. And what's really interesting is that obviously we're both astrologers. Yeah. So our podcasts are really centered around astrology and other schools of alternative thoughts and disciplines. Yeah. But I took the liberty of seeing how much, if any, astrological reference there is in the Bible. Because obviously we're talking about spirituality and, you know, religion and whatnot. And
everything's astrological. If you look at it, they're like so much stuff. The whole book, people will say, actually, there's different schools of thoughts.
Yeah.
Because some will say, no, there's no astrological reference. And then there's people say the whole book is an astrological reference.
whole book.
So
which one are you going with?
I'm going with the whole book. I'm an astrologer. The whole book is an astrological reference. So, yeah, so the Bible's big, deep, dense. There's no way we could do that in one session. There's no way we would have read the whole Bible and broke down everything. So we've just gone for a few. So we called this part one, didn't we?
We did.
Of astrology and religion. Yeah.
So I took the liberty. I didn't have time to look at the Quran, and I'm really keen to do that. So maybe part two I will look at the Quran. But I've definitely got some quotes or some verse concepts from the Bible that make some reference. What sounds like references to me. Anyway, so here's. I mean, I have to skim through this website, but here's Luke verse 21-25. There will be signs in sun and moon and stars, and on the earth dismay among nations, in perplexity at the roaring of the sea and the waves. Now, to break that down for me, the fact that you're even acknowledging the sun and the moon and the stars and the impact that will have on the sea and the waves. And for me, sea and waves and water represents emotions. And as humans, we are 72 to 75% water. Yeah. That, I don't know, that shows a relationship.
And the impact of the moon on the waters, you know, that's something that we talk about in astrology. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely.
Another one. This is at the in the Revelations, the Book of Revelations 12:1. So this verse says, a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. 12 stars to me is 12 constellations. Exactly. Obviously the sun and the moon, they are the luminaries. The sun is connected to consciousness, and the moon is connected to the unconscious. So, you know, a woman dressed and clothed in celestial bodies described in the book of Revelations. It's quite deep. Now I'm not gonna sit here and be like, let's break these concepts down, because I'm not even that far yet. I'm just touching the surface based on what I found so far. Okay, so feel free in the comments to say what you
the verses that you know, or the breakdowns that you have.
Or any reservations you might have about this particular topic. What else?
There is a saying in I think it's in John 14:12. It says, in my Father's house there are many mansions, and that is meant to relate to the different houses in the astrological chart. So there's 12 houses, so that is what's meant to relate to that. Also, there's in the press, so if you're Catholic you would definitely know this, or been to church. So it goes, the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. And that is, the lamb is Aries, representation of, we're just talking about that, like from winter we go into spring. So that's like the birth of something new in the world. So I guess when the Bible, the translation are very different. So we've got King James version, we've got all these different versions of the Bible. So someone's translated from Aramaic or whatever language it is and made a version of the Bible. So sometimes the translation has been lost. So I think that's important to say that we're just going by what someone's translated. We don't.
So true.
I don't know the language of the original Bible. I cannot translate it.
Yeah.
So we've gone, I think this was from the King James version or the New International Version that I got this from. So so maybe another Bible may say something different. So so that is like one of the things of birth and renewal. So during this time, so what it has is the Northern Hemisphere has been through its winter, and death rules winter. So it symbolized Saturn ruling the sign of Capricorn, and from Saturn they get Satan, and it's also known as the Grim Reaper and the Old Father of Time. So Saturn's the ruler of time. And then from winter you go to spring, summer, and that's heaven, and autumn, winter is looked at as hell, and spring, summer is hot, and autumn is cold. Autumn, winter is cold, and spring, summer is light, and autumn, winter is darkness, and spring, summer is life, and autumn, winter is supposed to be death. So there's this correlation with heaven and hell. What is it? But maybe it's just that transformation. So there's not really. So I believe there's heaven is on earth. And I don't know about everything else. So then if heaven's on earth, then hell must be on earth. So we create our own hell by not transforming. We get stuck with our emotions and what's going on. That's where I've kind of looked into it. And I looked at the Greek word for Pluto, and it's Plutos, which means wealth. And Pluto brings immense wealth. So once you do the work, the transformation, it can bring something. So there's some light in this book, the Bible, but we have to go into it a bit further. But that's a couple of things that I've got. Have you got anything else?
I like that because for me, biblical or just holy texts need to be read with discernment. You said it's hard to interpret. There are Aramaic. People
have translated it Greek, Latin. It's like the person who translated is their point of view.
Exactly.
Of what this meant. So that's what we're reading from. And someone else might say, no, but it didn't actually mean that. It means what we're just getting it from. There's so many different versions of the Bible. So just putting it out there, if someone has like a different meaning or whatever. But we're going to delve deeper in part 2, but this is what we've got now.
But I think what I wanted to say was that you got to read between the lines, and you've got to take account the symbology that's being expressed through the text, as opposed to taking it all very literally. Because if we're dealing with somebody else's interpretations, obviously it's based on their time and their perspective, like you said, but also it's like we just got to be we got to be discerning and make it true to ourselves and not be so literal in the text. Because I think when we're so literal and we carry that out, it could actually end up being more harmful.
Yeah.
So what's the symbology? What's the deeper message? Not that it's not deep just by reading a text, but I suppose,
And there's corruption in there because they didn't want the people to learn. They didn't want the people to know. They wanted them to follow kings and queens, the physical people that they see in front of them.
Yeah.
So things were left out. Things maybe are changed on purpose. So they don't get the literal meaning. They get a different type of meaning. So the Bible is definitely not just a book to read, but it's a book of research. Lifelong research to really get deep down and know what is actually being said.
But obviously we respect, all forms of expressions of the Bible. So Christianity, Catholic or whatnot. So these are just our thoughts and opinions on how we interpret the Bible. But you mentioned Kings, the book of Kings. So I've got one I've got a verse that mentions divination and witchcraft. So this is it says here 2 Kings 21:6. So anyway, so it says, he made his son pass through the fire, practiced witchcraft and used divination and dealt with mediums and spirits. He did much evil in the sight of the Lord, provoking him to anger. So it sounds like he used obviously witchcraft and divination for the ill, not for the good. But this obviously highlights the fact that, energy work was definitely something that was practiced.
For sure. I can't see in that time what else. There must have been, there was no TV, there was no phones.
No technology.
Not
Maybe like this anyways.
There wasn't probably access to books like we have now. So what did people look at? There wasn't all this light pollution. They looked at the stars. They looked at the moon. They had to learn how to grow stuff. They had to pray for growth for food and water. And so there must have been divination, must have been praying to someone and stuff. And I don't know why the people, whoever was in rulership at the time, decided to translate the book. Because I think the Vatican has these books,
the
all hidden down, got all these exciting stuff. I find that exciting. But I have a verse as well.
Oh yeah, go on.
Another one. It says Isaiah 47:13-15, and it's a new international version of the Bible. And I chose this one because it actually names stuff. So it says, all the counsel you have received has only worn you out. Let your astrologers come forward, those stargazers who make predictions month by month. Let them save you from what is coming up upon you. Surely they are like stubble. The fire will burn them up. They cannot even save themselves from the power of the flame. These are not coals for warmth. This is not a fire to sit by. That is all they are to you. These you have dealt with and laboured since childhood, and all of them go in their error. There is not one that can save you. So I like this one. It says, come let your astrologers counsel you.
This one's deep.
Yeah.
That's quite explicit, that one.
Because all the stuff, a lot of Christians would denounce the Bible, denounce crystals, saying it's bad and things like that. But it's all in there. This is all, if you believe in God, this is all God's work. Every single thing. So why is it considered bad if you use it? Or some people are naturally psychic, they just know straight away, why is that bad?
That's a deep innate attribute that you have. Why would you shun that? But that's all seen as evil, as you say. But yeah, it's funny because I have a couple of friends who are Christian. They're open to astrology and they ask questions about it, but would not touch a crystal. Like they're scared.
I know, it's so crazy because watches use crystals. It's just a stone. You can, I'm sure you find them in the sand. I mean, I went to Jamaica one time, and I sat in it's this place called Firewater, so it's water, and you put a match to it, and it actually lights up the water that you sit in. And I just said to them, "Oh, have you got crystals in there?" They said they're all gone. I said, "Oh, if I find one, can I keep it?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "I'm gonna find a crystal, put it up. I got this crystal," and they just looked like, "How did you get that?"
Wow. Do you know which one it was?
Gonna find, I It's agate. I've got it at home. I can't remember.
That's a special one.
That's a special. That's
love. That is a special crystal. One. Right. Okay, very interesting though. Do you know what? I was quite nervous about this topic because obviously it's so deep.
It's so interesting.
But really interesting. Yeah. And we're clearly learning off each other right now because you've taught me some stuff already. But what I want to segue onto much more astrological, like looking at the charts really, and how we can identify somebody or just significators that would indicate like strong spiritual belief systems or religion or whatever. So can I just quickly add, obviously we're in Sagittarius season. This started on the 22nd of November, I think, until the 21st of December. So definitely, like we said earlier, we are expanding our knowledge on religion and higher education. But the 9th house is all about that. The 9th house is all about higher education, lifelong learning. It signifies journeys, both from a physical and intellectual perspective. But, you know, what do we look for when we're wanting to identify a strong 9th house? Somebody with a strong 9th house or strong religious or philosophical values. Now, what I'm aware of as an astrologer is that there's a few configurations that could indicate strong religion or mystical or spiritual notions. And that includes the North Node, because the North Node is all about the life path. The North Node in the 9th house would signify someone who's trying to expand or working towards expanding their belief system. Neptune is associated with intuition and mysticism. So Neptune in the 9th house is very powerful for that. It just shows like a really sensitive nature to spirituality and religion. And what else? Jupiter, of course. Jupiter, the planet of expansion and higher knowledge in the 9th house, would just expand all of that 9th house stuff. So some really, I suppose, some really prominent placements also include Neptune in the 1st house. The 1st house is to do with the person, so yourself. It's to do with your autonomy. So the 1st house, Neptune in the 1st house, will indicate somebody who's very idealistic and very compassionate and very spiritual, and somebody who wants to just keep tapping into the ethereal world, I guess. Also Neptune conjunct in a midheaven. Midheaven could also be like, it's the 10th house cusp. So that would indicate someone who brings about their spirituality and healing talents to the world, and they're known for that. So in terms of their public standing, there's a humanitarian energy about them. So that's for Neptune. I don't know if you can think of any more.
Jupiter, you said Jupiter, didn't you?
Yeah, so Jupiter.
Maybe Jupiter in the 1st as well.
Yeah, Jupiter in the 1st, someone who will exert knowledge and wisdom. They'll be known for that. Who's into higher knowledge and who's someone who's quite philosophical. They'll be known for that. Their expression and their personalities will exude all of that. Also, do you know what I find interesting?
What?
When Mars and Saturn are in the 9th, the two malefics.
Okay.
So Mars, for example, being in the 9th, the house of spirituality and religion, that to me is a martyr. Someone who will fight literally to their detriment, to their death for their belief system. Or Saturn, somebody who will work really hard and probably end up being the head of an institution that runs religion or spirituality. But they might, because Saturn is all about blockages and barriers, they might experience some of that as they get older. But as they get older and wiser, they also learn how to navigate that and realize that actually somehow I need to take charge of that. Whereas Mars is much more volatile, and so Mars is all about cutting away and severing and fighting for a cause. So in the 9th house, you know, that's fighting for your belief system.
I hear that.
But on a personal level, I have to say that I've got lots of planets in the 9th house.
Same here.
What do you have in the 9th?
So I have Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus.
Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus. Okay. I have Sun, Jupiter, Mercury, Venus. That's so funny. But you're a new moon baby, so obviously the moon is there.
Yeah.
So that without a doubt already indicates very strong higher learning stuff.
Yeah.
Tapping into spirituality, because the ninth house also rules astrology.
Yeah.
But you know what else rules astrology?
Jupiter?
Mercury.
Okay.
Mercury.
Yes,
yeah. Jupiter's the expansion of it.
Yeah.
Mercury rules. And we both got Mercury in the ninth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yes, it was fated.
It was fated. We need to learn astrology. Astrology is a lot, though. It's a lot to learn in itself. So I suppose you kind of need to have a strong ninth house to be.
It's forever learning.
Yeah.
You never stop learning. You never stop growing. It's just actually it's a lot.
It's a lot.
I can never remember everything.
Nah.
I'm like,
me too.
What's going on here? Yeah, I've got to look back. So many books. So much revisiting stuff. It's always like a retrograde moment with astrology.
I agree.
Always going back and looking at charts and going, okay, this, that, and there's always extra to learn.
Forever student. But yeah. So for me, that for both of us, that indicates a very strong need to tap into like physical travel, high physical and mental travel, but all of that would be associated with the seeking meaning of life, being on a quest for the meaning of life. And then we obviously do that through our own spiritual practices, rituals, and astrology being a main avenue for that. But I wanted to find some time to associate today's topic with well-known people, and I was looking at Gandhi, but I didn't have time to really dissect his chart, unfortunately. So maybe the next time.
Yeah, but where's his what's in his ninth? Maybe you can say that.
Do you know what? I do remember. Okay. Let me tell you something about his ninth house. So he doesn't have any planets in the ninth house, so you don't always need to have planets. In the ninth house to be spiritual. That's not what we're saying here, but definitely there needs to be like a strong configuration nonetheless. So his ninth house is ruled by Cancer, and so Cancer is ruled by the moon, and the moon is in the 10th house. It's in the 10th house, and so obviously the moon is about public. It represents the public, and obviously the emotional well-being, your emotional well-being. But the fact that it's in the 10th house, the 10th house being your career or your highest standpoint in life. So he's obviously going to be known for the emotions, the caring, the nurturing, which is what he
did. What did he do? He used to do those not eating.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to say not eating challenges, but
he used to fast.
Yeah, he wasn't fast. He used to stop eating until something made a change. Or maybe he did fast.
It was more like a protest type thing.
Yeah, protest kind of. And I guess, nurturing is like the food, but he didn't really. I guess he used that for his way of trying to save humanity. Yeah. Like, because he's always known, he's a very thin man.
Yeah, and small.
Thinking of him, he's very thin. Yeah. Small, just used to wear a white robe.
Yeah. Very simple.
Very simple, yeah.
Yeah. But I think he's got Neptune in the first house.
Okay.
So Neptune squaring that Pluto is obviously someone who's very connected to the spiritual world in some way. They may have some challenges because of that square, but generally this is someone who's very intuitive, very tapped into the spiritual world, someone who's probably going to present religion in some way. Well, he was a Buddhist, wasn't he? Was he? Or am I just assuming that based on how he was dressed?
I'm not sure.
Let me check. Gandhi.
I'm not sure if he was
who was he? I feel bad because obviously we grew up knowing. Oh, he was an Indian lawyer, anti-colonial nationalist, and political ethicist who employed non-violent resistance to lead the successful campaign of India's independence from British rule. He was insanely what? That's insane to me.
Yeah.
That's insane. Much respect. Big up Gandhi. You know what? I knew about you, always knew about you, but I didn't give you your due justice, man. You are incredible. God rest your soul. But yeah, he inspired movements of civil rights and freedom across the world. So he had Mars in his first house. So he definitely had a lot
of drive to do those protests and not eat and sit down and constantly wanting to make that change. And looking at that picture, it's him with a white robe. He didn't have much. He just
very simple man, but very powerful man. That Mars in the first house definitely gave him lots of, like you said, drive, motivation and power. But that Neptune being there as well, I think that helped make it non-violent, because Neptune's all about compassion and love, which is what he exudes. But yeah, anyways, we could talk about him all day, but we're running out of time. Did you want to talk about
so the person that I looked at was Malcolm X. I just thought about someone and I thought, he was part of his religion was Islam. He started off with the Nation of Islam and then moved to I want to say normal Islam, but he moved from the Nation to just Islam afterwards. So he has Jupiter in the first in Capricorn.
Okay.
And he was very like Gandhi. He fought for civil rights. He was very outspoken. His MC was in the 10th, so that's his highest point. He's going to be well known to the public. It was in Libra, so he has Sun in Taurus and Venus in Gemini. So there's a mutual reception between the both, which is very good. So straight away, the Sun was connected to his MC, and obviously the mutual reception between the Venus and the Sun, so the 6th house and 5th house connection. And he had great oratory skills. So he had also 5th house in Taurus, Mercury. So he's a great speaker. He had great charisma. And he grew the nation from maybe it had 400 followers to 400,000. People really loved him. And he had friends like Muhammad Ali and Sam Cooke. And he spent time in prison. So he has Sag on his 12th house, on the cusp of his 12th house. There's no planets in there, but I guess when you're in that kind of realm, when you're in prison, you find spiritual, you find a lot of people when they go to prison, they find God. They find some sort of religion. A lot of people do.
Another spiritual
a lot of guys, men do Islam, I think. It's the main one that I find.
They convert into Islam,
Islam,
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is interesting. And I think I did have something on that. What Freud mentioned something about that.
Who? Freud?
Yeah. He
mentioned, go on.
Just a little something, and I get his information up there. But I thought that was really interesting about when people go into their 12th house, because the 12th house is about institutions, the unconscious. And I guess it's a place of where you find yourself as well.
It's a very, very lonely place.
You're there alone. You have to find what's the meaning of life. Why am I here? What am I doing here? So I guess it's a lot of thinking time. But Freud's psychoanalytic perspective viewed religion as the unconscious mind need for wish fulfillment, because people need to feel secure and absolve themselves of their own guilt. Freud believed that they chose to believe in God, who represents a powerful father figure. And you may find that sometimes these men may not have had strong father figures. So as they're in prison, they're looking for something outside of themselves to steer them on the right path. And
that's so deep.
And Malcolm X found while he was in he changed his name as well, but while he was in prison, he did find Islam and came out and become part of the nation, and he did so well, so he's able to find his purpose in life.
Did he got killed Gandhi did?
Yes, he got assassinated. He's got Mars, Pluto in the 7th house.
The house of open enemies.
Yeah.
He's got Mars, Pluto, and it's interesting because Gandhi has Mars in his first house. So that makes and obviously the first and 7th house is to do with the first is to do with the self, and the 7th house is to do with other people. So they both got assassinated in that kind of relationship axis, which is quite deep.
Yeah,
Mars in the first and 7th.
Might be another topic for us, assassinations. How do you see that kind of thing in the chart?
But both fighting for a cause. That's deep. I want to do that. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Exactly. Both of them fought for a cause. They fought for their people. They fought for the rights, or not just their own people, but for the world. And they were inspiration for people all across the world. That's why their name has been so well known even till this day. You know, people talk about Malcolm X, talk about Gandhi, and there's loads of other people that get talked about, Mother Teresa, blah 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 blah. And with that, I'd like to say these people were not perfect.
They're not perfect.
No one's perfect. So we're just giving you some. I know people might say Malcolm X did this or Gandhi did that. We're just showing you perfect. What the religion and how they fought for their beliefs.
But I just realised as well Jupiter's in the first house. So again,
so that's the religious beliefs.
The philosophies.
And it's in Capricorn, so there was definitely a strong
leadership around that.
And he was like, he was a spokesperson for the nation, and I guess his face, when you're out there, people look to you as the leader, but he wasn't the leader. You get what I mean? I think that kind of got him into a bit of trouble.
Murky grounds.
He kind of took over as got seen as the leader, and he wasn't, and people didn't like that. Jealousy and envy, it don't matter what religion you are. These things still pop up. If you don't put the work in on yourself, it's still going to be a factor, jealousy and envy. So it doesn't matter what religion you are part of, you still got to work on yourself. Doesn't matter.
That's not a cover up. It's not a cover up. It's not a protector. All right. Well, listen, I think we did quite well considering. But we'll do a part 2.
We will. I think this topic was really, really deep. There was so much. We kind of got consumed in all the knowledge that was there that we just had to say.
Break down. Just keep it simple.
Part 1, keep it simple. And then we'll do a part 2, and then we can do assassinations at one point.
Sounds good. Let's do that. Okay, well, on that note, it's now Mercury hour on Venus Day, the 1st of December, but we'll probably release this in a couple of weeks actually. So if you haven't already listened to our previous podcast, which is on the Cosmic News, released on Friday the 1st of December, so that's today, please listen. And then in the meantime, stay well, stay blessed. I'm Astro Queen,
and I'm Angel Love. Thank you for listening.
Peace.